I am really grateful, Mr. President. I'm grateful you're in the chair, and I'm grateful to be able to rise right now and speak. I want to say at the top that I have a tremendous love for this institution, and a lot of that's born from the people that are here, from the pages I get to know in every class to the folks that work the doors, the clerks, the parliamentarians. This is a special place, and a lot of the people who are known here are not the ones that really keep this place functioning. I come in here days and I have good moods or bad moods, but always find myself lifted when I walk onto this floor. It's a sacred civic space. It is extraordinary, and I'm always aware of the weight of history when I walk in here, no matter a good day, bad day, whether I'm in a rush or not. When I touch the Senate floor, I feel something really magnificent.
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow patriots, welcome back to Right View Nation channel. Tonight we're diving into a speech made by Senator Cory Booker, a Democrat from New Jersey, who recently took to the Senate floor with a dramatic monologue, vowing to speak for as long as he is physically able. Now, as a proud American and a right-wing patriot, I feel compelled to dissect what he said, challenge his narrative, and offer a real, common-sense perspective that seems to be sorely lacking from the left these days.
I don't think that our founders would have ever imagined a body like this, with black people on both sides of the aisle, with women serving here, with folks from many different backgrounds. We are, in many ways, doing what this Senate, what the founders had envisioned, which was this idea of every generation making this a more perfect union. But there have been times in this journey where our union was in crisis and was in peril. There have been times in this great American journey over our 250 years where so many heroes had to emerge, people that I've come to revere, like Joshua Chamberlain from Maine, who played such a pivotal role in the Battle of Gettysburg. What a noble soul he was. He would later go on to be the governor of his state and go on to great things, but his heroism lay that in a time of crisis, he stood up. I know there are veterans in this body, and I admire them so much, who have answered that call to serve our country and put their lives at sacrifice. There are people that I admire, that are heroes of mine, that were suffragists who were people who fought as abolitionists. There are people more recently that I've come to lionize and admire because they did so much for this country, not with titles, not with high rank or positions, but folks who, when this country was facing crossroads, was facing crises, they stood up, they spoke up. One of my greatest heroes of life was a man I got to serve with named John Lewis. And I served with him in this body, and every top opportunity I had, I would ask him about the times when he was just a 20-something. He was the youngest person who was a featured speaker on the March on Washington. He was called the bravest man in the civil rights movement because he kept putting himself in harm's way to dramatize, to let folks know, to bring attention to the injustices in this world, and to say very strongly that this, what is going on in our country, is not normal, that this going on in our country is wrong. I stand on this floor as a United States Senator, but I revere people who never stood on this floor, people who, before they even got to their 30s and 40s and 50s in life, were out there as great patriots fighting for this nation. I rise today in an unusual manner, and I want to be clear and explain that, but I just want to tell you what John Lewis said. It's a quote so many people know. And he really spoke not to members of the Senate or the Congress. He was really speaking to Americans. He said, "Get in good trouble, necessary trouble. Help redeem the soul of America. John Lewis died in 2020, in July, at a time that it was Donald Trump's first term in office. And he did what Congress people did, but he also did some really extraordinary things to fight for health care. My friend Chris Murphy knows about that. He was there when John Lewis did a open Facebook chat, not in this chamber or in the House chamber. He sat on the steps and people were there. I remember when he did a sit-in, they had to shut the cameras off on him. He got in good trouble on the House side, too. And so I start tonight thinking about him. I've been thinking about him a lot during these last 71 days. Get in good trouble, necessary trouble, help redeem the soul of America, and had to ask myself, if he's my hero, how am I living up to his words? I think Democrats and Republicans have made a lot of mistakes. No side has a monopoly on the truth. No side has been perfect servants of this country. But what's happened in the last 71 days is a patent demonstration of a time where John Lewis's call to everyone has, I think, become more urgent and more pressing. And if I think it's a call for our country, I have to ask myself how I'm living these words. So tonight, I rise with the intention of getting in some good trouble. I rise with the intention of disrupting the normal business of the United States Senate for as long as I am physically able. I rise tonight because I believe sincerely that our country is in crisis. And I believe that not in a partisan sense, because so many of the people that have been
First off, Booker starts off by romanticizing the Senate and its history. He talks about feeling the weight of history every time he steps onto the floor. That's all fine and good, but here's the thing. The Senate isn't supposed to be some sacred temple for politicians to admire themselves in. It's supposed to be a place where elected officials work for the people. The problem is, Booker and his Democratic colleagues seem to care more about grandstanding and virtue signaling than actually solving the problems of the American people. He goes on to say that the founders never imagined a diverse Senate with black members and women serving. Now, let's clear something up. The founders envisioned a government of, by, and for the people. They didn't limit the future. They built a framework for freedom. America has come a long way. And it's not because of the left's constant racial obsession. It's because of the conservative principles of liberty, meritocracy, and hard work that have allowed every American, regardless of race or gender, to achieve their full potential. But the left keeps pushing this idea that progress is only because of them. It's just not true. Booker name-drops historical figures like Joshua Chamberlain and abolitionists, suffragists, and of course John Lewis. And let's be clear. These are American heroes, no argument there. But what Booker and the left constantly do is exploit these figures to push a modern-day radical agenda. He mentions good trouble, a phrase popularized by John Lewis. But let's be honest, when the left talks about good trouble today, they mean burning down cities, defunding the police, and calling half the country domestic terrorists for simply wanting election integrity. That's not good trouble. That's chaos. Booker spends a huge chunk of his speech talking about how we are in a crisis. This is a classic Democrat strategy. Keep people in a constant state of fear and panic so they'll surrender more power to big government. He says people from both parties are reaching out to him in fear. Really? Because I know plenty of hardworking, conservative Americans who are more concerned about Biden's open borders, skyrocketing inflation, and attacks on their Second Amendment rights than whatever leftist hysteria Booker is pushing. No Democrat speech would be complete without blaming Trump. Booker brings up the past 71 days and directly accuses the former president of harming America's safety, financial stability, and even the core foundations of democracy. Give me a break. Under Trump, we had the strongest economy in decades, energy independence, and a foreign policy that actually put America first. Now, under Biden and his radical allies, we have record-high gas prices, a border that looks like a sieve, and woke ideology infecting every part of American life. But sure, let's blame Trump. Booker ends his speech with a dramatic declaration that he will disrupt the Senate for as long as he physically can. Well, isn't that just typical? When Democrats don't get their way, they throw a fit. Whether it's filibustering conservative Supreme Court justices, packing the courts, or now trying to stall the Senate, they'll do anything to manipulate the system. Meanwhile, when conservatives speak up, we're the ones called threats to democracy. Funny how that works. At the end of the day, this speech was nothing more than political theater designed to rile up the left's base. Booker doesn't care about real solutions. If he did, he'd be talking about how to secure our borders, protect American jobs, and stop government overreach. But instead, he's grandstanding. Well, here's my message to Senator Booker. The real patriots in this country see through the nonsense. We stand for freedom, law and order, and putting America first, not more political games. If you agree, hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe for more content that tells the truth. And as always, God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.